Guys, what's going on at middleweight? I have to know everything. I have to know everybody else's business, right? Would you call me nosy? I think so. Curious? Sure. A fan? All right. Middleweight, specifically. Back up, Adesanya beats Vettori. Prior to that, Whitaker had beaten Gastelum. We get told it's going to be Adesanya versus Whitaker. Fine. But no fight gets announced. Nothing gets signed, and I felt as though this just got brushed. And now here we are on the cusp of a Derek Brunson-Darren Till fight with people asking the question, if Darren Till wins, does Darren Till go on to fight Adesanya? I feel like I should be able to strongly and clearly tell you, no. Maybe Darren Till goes, in a best case scenario, Darren Till qualifies to go on to fight the winner of Whitaker-Adesanya. But that's not the topic and that's not the narrative that's out there. There's a discussion that does Darren Till, with a win over Brunson, qualify to go right into a fight with Adesanya. And the only reason that I thought Whitaker was fighting him. That's the part that I've missed. And if somewhere along the way that thing went up in smoke or Whitaker said no, I never heard it. If Whitaker said no to Adesanya, who is Whitaker going to fight next? That's a main event guy. That's going to be a big fight. Middleweight's a very interesting division. Whitaker is a top 5 middleweight of all time. Adesanya is a top 5 middleweight of all time. When you have two guys that are two of the top 5 guys, I could go all the way to 10. But if you have two top 5 guys of all time competing at the same time, it's rare. It's a big deal. And I do remember at one point, and I'm backing up because don't forget, Adesanya Whitaker has been this hot potato in the air for a period of time. So long that they finally got in there and fought. And then even after that fight, they've been going to fight again. Now, Whitaker made a comment. And Whitaker got terribly misjudged for this. Included by me. I heard him say it. I put a little bit too much on, but Whitaker said I would not be stoked for that fight. What Whitaker was attempting to do was to give a little credit to Adesanya. Say, man, that's going to be a hard fight. He's a good fighter. It was the opposite of trash talk. But he laid out right after he said that. Laid out as a term means he said nothing else. He closed his mouth. I would not be stoked to fight Adesanya again. Closes his mouth. No afterthought. So now we, the audience, are only left with the words that we were given, which sounds like Whitaker doesn't want to fight Adesanya. Whitaker attempted to correct that later, and I appreciate that he did. And Whitaker said, no, whoa. No. I will fight Adesanya. I'm just acknowledging that's a hard fight. That's within my right to do that. I don't have to put him down. I can choose to lift him up, and that's what I chose to do. I'm adding some words to it, but Whitaker did clarify his statement. Fine, I'm still going back. But I'm telling you now, I'm going back 20 months. So fast forward, they both fight different guys. Insert Vettori, insert Gastelum. They come out of that, and now we're told, great, that fight's going to happen. But somewhere along the way, I never heard any of the stoked business. I never heard any line that could be misconstrued like that one was, in fairness to Whitaker. I've also never heard a yes. I most certainly haven't heard a date. And now I'm hearing talk that if Till comes in with a great performance, and that's just not a narrative to build the Till and Brunson fight that people are creating. That was even said by Eugene Berryman. Berryman, the coach of Adesanya, said Till needs 2 wins. You get Till 2 wins, forget the Whitaker fight, we'll go fight with Darren. Very unlikely because now you're kicking the can so far down the road for your own client, Adesanya, but the words were still spoken that they're still giving a look at Till, and there's still nothing concrete about Adesanya. What am I missing, guys? I had to have missed something. That story I just told you has to have a part that's missing. Right? Couple possible scenarios. Chael's missing something. Slipped under me. Fine. Unlikely, but it's possible. Other side of the coin, that fight's done and hasn't been announced. And that's a part of the sport that's very real too, right? I talked to you guys yesterday about what is the holdup between Francis and Gane. I woke up this morning to the fact that that fight is targeted for January. Now, Relevance being, that didn't happen from the time I talked to you until the time that I woke up this morning. That fight was done, but the announcement wasn't made. Very real part of the sport. The UFC is very specific, strategically speaking, on how and when they announce fights. Number of fights they'll make, have done, and even tell the athletes, don't say anything. We don't want this leaking out on your social media. We have a much bigger plan to drop this news to get the factor. Fine. That's also a guess that's on the table for what is the holdup between Whitaker and Adesanya, that it's done. And a lot of times when you have guys that are really going at each other and all of a sudden they go radio silent, that's precisely what happened. Contracts done, dates agreed to, told zip it, let us release it how we will. I don't see that here. I don't think that that's what's happening here. I base that on nothing. This is intuition. What did I miss? And of those three scenarios, I missed something, fight's already done, Darren Till's at play. Of those three scenarios, I think the most likely is that I did miss something. I did. There had to have been some kind of a talk. There had to be an illness, an injury, or a date that's agreed on, or they're just hashing things out. There had to be something there that I missed, because if Adesanya is not going to fight Whitaker, you do have the question, who's he going to fight? If you think the simple answer is Darren Till with a victory, well, first off, Darren's got to win, and second, that still kicks the can out for Adesanya a period of time. If that does happen, who's Whitaker going to fight? It's a tough spot, right? You have two of the baddest dudes ever that a weight class has ever seen. That's how good. Whitaker's that good. He really is. Whitaker is one of the best ever. Adesanya, you got to get those guys together. You got to get them together. You got to figure it out until you're done figuring it out, and then you can move on. Otherwise, you have two of the best that are fighting for contender status. It's just not how the sport's played. I personally think there's major opportunity. I think that Whitaker could do a better job of what Adesanya attempted to do, and that is to change and go to light heavyweight. I think Whitaker versus Adesanya, love it. Regardless of how it goes, it would seem to me that Whitaker, just with his build, is very well suited, not to mention his style. That stick and move style, that extremely fast. Whitaker's faster than middleweights. He's, of course, going to be faster than light heavyweights. I just like that idea. I think it needs to be on the table. I think whatever apprehensions that Whitaker has of Adesanya, or whatever respect Adesanya gained, no problem. Figure that out, whatever the answer is. Consider, Whitaker's still a young enough guy, consider making that change. Fans are going to be behind it. A lot of fresh parity there. I don't want to put this on Whitaker. I don't want to put that Whitaker's holding this up. But I feel like he is. I can't prove it. I feel like he is. So if you guys have the answer, and if Chael missed something, which would possibly represent the first time ever I've missed something, but I'm coming to you. Tell me, what happened? Title fight between Whitaker and Adesanya, part 2. What happened that I didn't see?